Okay, guys, so this is going to be my second time trying to do this. I actually went division by division, actually, in a little bit more breakdown than what I'm about to do here. However, as I'm currently checking it now, um, my mic didn't pick up very well. I was kind of having some issues with my mic. Had to kind of put a new little, I think it's a USB mini C, or I'm not sure what the connection is, but was able to grab another one. Looks like my mic is working. I did test it a few times. So unfortunately, the kind of last audio I had wasn't going to suffice. So I'm going to go ahead and do another quick division kind of recap. Now, normally I'm going to have these on a separate episode. I'm going to have these completely. They won't be with the podcast, but I figured, hey, hopefully while you guys listen to this, we can just have some recaps. But normally, so starting next week, right, if I can do this correctly, each division will get its own recap, and it's going to get its own look forward to, at that point, what would be the week 3 matchups, and we'll try and give some more detail in there. And so I want each division kind of get its own little section of attention. On this one, however, I'll be kind of going through just kind of generic what the results were, and just kind of a shout out to teams and players that are doing well. So again, sorry, I know I really, that was one of the reasons, right, that I wasn't even going to join this season, because I wanted to push out more of this, but on top of kind of being a little bit busy, and it just was a bit unfortunate because I had started working on this Sunday evening and Monday evening, and it wasn't until Tuesday that I realized that none of it was really going to work, that my mic wasn't working too well. So it was really more of my cord, and just full transparency, it's one of my little puppies. They had kind of chewed a little through it, because I kind of have it running under my desk and through the back of my computer. Well, yeah, they're at the kind of teething age now where they're kind of able to kind of reach up there and grab it. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into the results. Obviously, as normal, we'll start with the Beast Ball division. And how else would we start but the defending champs, Season 4, the Phoenix Sunkerns. Chino, my man on a mission, as he leads the very first singles battle, and he ends up winning that 6-0 Dragon Bolt. All it takes is one opening, and this Mon is just scary, showing why he was taken first overall. He wins that matchup 6-0, goes on to win the doubles 3-0 as well, so starts off with a great +9. Just the defending champs already on a roll and already looking like the team to beat. You've got Tampa Bay Blaziken's Wicked Litwicks right after that. Wicked Litwicks taking both of those games with a +8 total. Well done by him, including a 6-0 sweep as well. We actually had a couple 6-0 sweeps, and kind of address that here after we get through all the battles. Then, as currently recorded, the Tampa Bay Blazikins and Electrified Reggie-Likes will need to redo one of their battles. Those kind of a couple mons were brought that shouldn't have been able to. Basically, the tiers were kind of messed up there, so we're going to just kind of nullify that result. Then the Wicked Litwicks and Phoenix Sunkerns, they have their own matchup with Chino coming out on top, winning both of those games as well. Very strong plus-minus differentials. We go ahead and pull up the standings for the Beast Ball division. We have Chino in the lead, of course, with the full 4 points, grabs all the points available for this weekend, +16 KO differential. Now remember, this man set a record last season for highest KO differential ever recorded in the league. And, I mean, looks like maybe he wants to break that, So, huge KO differential from Chino. Followed second by the Wicked Litwicks with 2 points. And like I said, we can't really tell yet. We got to see if Tampa Bay Blazikins wins his game again to stay at 2 points, or otherwise Electrified Reggie-Likes could end up tying him for third. Lots of games still to be played. We hop over to the Cherish Ball division. In the Cherish Ball, one of the first matchups we had, or I guess it's really no particular order. It's kind of the order I just covered it. We have Washington Walreins getting the 2-0 victory over Soviet Sindijas with a +10. Very interestingly, in that singles match, Zapdos is a very cheeky set, very cool set. Zapdos, though, ends up getting the sweep, the 6-0, due to the Zapdos itself. We have the Bay Area Basket Legions taking on the greasy, grimy Golems, and the Bay Area Basket Legions take the 2-0 overall victory there as well. Again, a lot of 2-0s. Very surprising that I think there was a total of 16 matchups, And only, I think very, very few, on one hand, I can count that the games were split 1-1. That usually doesn't happen. So, again, we'll kind of get to that here in a bit, but another little talking point. So, Barriers Basket Legion, as we stated, getting both of them. And Soviet Shedinjas getting a 6-0 in that singles match. But then here's one of the few that does split right after I start talking about it. Greasy Golems able to get a split on there, able to grab a point. Right, points are always, you obviously want the sweep, get the 2-0, get yourself a good little tiebreaker against that opponent in the meantime. So he's able to get the split. Washington Walreins as well, coming out strong with a 2-0 victory. Great KO differential as we look at the standings for them. In the Cherish Ball division, we have the Washington Walreins with the full 4 points, 18 KO differential overall, and as of right now, ranked the number 1 overall team. Barrier Basket Legions with 2 points, followed by the Soviet Shedinjas and Greasy Golems there coming up the rear. Actually, I kind of missed one. I always tend to scroll past it. I'm so sorry, guys. The Moonball division. That's because there's some good players in this division. Moonball players are like, what the hell, man? My bad. That is my fault. That we share blame on that one, all right? So, in the Moonball, we have the Gliding Crowbats taking on Dugtrio Mama. The Gliding Crowbats getting the win there. Very even matchup as far as distribution of KOs, more or less. And then in the doubles, man, that Blissey just does work. It's the wall. It is the wall. It is the wall that Donald Trump wanted to build. That's a wall right there. And not only was it a wall, it was an offensive wall. So I don't even know. I guess it's just a great mon, right? Good work by the Blissey there. Then Madrid Mankeys and Gliding Crowbats going at it in singles. Madrid Mankeys putting on a show, showing why that son is just so powerful. However, he couldn't replicate that at the doubles as they take the split there. Very well fought matches between both of them. Florida for Alligators and Madrid Mankeys. Madrid Mankeys taking both of those, as well as a 6-0 in doubles. Poltergeist, guys. Watch out for him. And then Dugtrio Mama taking both 6-0s. He takes 2 6-0s. The only player to do so this season so far. A double 6-0 against Florida for Alligators. They're reeling. They're struggling just a little bit. So hopefully they can get that turned around. Still lots of time to do it as we pull into the standings for them. And on top, you have the Madrid Mankeys. 3 points, 10. Plus 10 KO differential. Gliding Crowbats 3 points, 5 KO differential. So well done by both of them. This is going to be a great race to see in going into the last weekend, because it could be, depending on KO differential between the two. That's going to be a great race to see. Dugtrio Mama up there with 2 points of Florida for Alligators. Still trying to get on the board. Last division, the Master Ball division. In it, we have Galloping Garchomps taking on the Mini Mudkips. Zakai is showing why he's such a well-established player. Galloping Garchomps, they kind of jabbing each other there for a little while, but Zakai is able to pull away. He wins both matches with a 2-0 and then a 5-0, so he gets both points. Then you have Pachirisis Cups against Slush, and Pachirisis Cups taking both of them, doing well. He had an unfortunate miss in that game, but again, I think it's something I kind of want to address as far as games being 6-0. I know there was a bit kind of, I guess we'll say, fault as far as certain stuff missing or possibly sweeping. Again, that's a topic point that we'll get to here. Then we have Mini Mudkips and Pachirisis Cups. And I think what people maybe considered an upset when Ricky went ahead and took a 2-0 against Zacchaeus, especially with Zacchaeus' team really looking more nasty, honestly, in doubles. The Oranguru just putting in a lot of work, but Ricky able to kind of take that, even with the Celesteela, even with Zacchaeus bringing more or less, a mixed weather team. Maybe he kind of tripped over himself there, but Ricky able to take the 2-0, and then Zacchaeus able to pull away when they played in singles. 4-0, did a lot of work. Galloping Garchomps taking on Slush again. Galloping Garchomps taking the 2-0 on there, winning 5-0. Garchomp just doing work. I know he must have been ecstatic to see Garchomp just do so well. So my dog barks and he agrees. And let's look at the standings real quick for this. We have Ricky and Zacchaeus up top with 3 points apiece. Zacchaeus slightly edging them due to KO differential. Galloping Garchomps 2 points, and Slush with the other mini team 13 under. He is negative 13, still looking for his first points and a lot of work to do. pull up the playoff picture. As you can see, I have a video, right, guys, and I've already posted explaining how the playoffs work. But that's kind of just going to be your week 1 recap. Like I said, it's a bit more brief. I had way more in detail kind of things going, and I didn't want to have to re-record it again because that was kind of what I spent 2 of my evenings, here and there kind of doing. So, again, obviously, my mistake on there, guys, and hopefully you guys listen to the rest of this. This should be the rest of a good little podcast for you guys. And as we kind of mentioned with Gilbert, I really want to be real supportive of the players. We really try not to question what the players would bring because, everybody plays different, right? Everybody plays to their own style, and if everybody played the same, it would just be a boring league. If everybody played according to maybe certain calcs or to certain, like, you're always going to switch, like, it's the group of players that have different play styles that also makes the league great. So we always do our best to give players the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, guys, I think some of these players that this was their first week in doing draft league, I think you guys have gotten a taste on the great players that have separated themselves, that have showed up, have run really great sets, or they run sets specific to their opponent. You cannot run. It's not like a ladder where you're trying to gain just a whole bunch of general coverage against things you might face. You see your opponent's roster in front of you. Plan for it specifically, guys. You got to plan for it specifically. So we'll go ahead and get into the normal talking section of the podcast. But like I said, in the future, we'll have actual kind of a bit more, not on every single game. If 2 great players are going to play each other, then of course we'll do our best to break that game down. So, if you're at 0 points and you're playing somebody that has 1 point, chances are we're probably not going to get fully in depth on that. So if you want your games to be kind of more shouted out and more broken down, it needs to either be a great game, it may need to be a really, really great set in there, or really to be seen, it's got to be good teams. Got to be good teams playing each other. Great, be up there in the standings. Because I don't want to. I'm not going to cover all the games. It's a very, very, very already time-consuming, more on top of the other stuff that I do. So, you guys are always more than free, kind of like Zacchaeus did. I really loved it, to post your own either in-game while you're battling, and post it after, kind of your vlog, your VOD rather, of you battling. However you guys want to do it, feel free to post it in the content section. All right, guys, let's get to that talking section. All right, guys, and so welcome to this portion of I honestly don't even know where I'm putting this, so I'm putting it at the beginning or at the end or whatever. We'll figure it out as it goes. But this portion, of course, we got Gilbert coming back with us. Gilbert, say what's up.
Hi there, people. How we doing?
And we got a special guest with us on this episode. We have we got Piranha Plant himself, the coach of the Washington Wolverines. How's it going, man?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, so he's the leader of our league right now. Even higher than Chino. Yeah, you hear that, Chino? Higher than Chino already, but with 2 kills, or with 2 KO differential, better than him. 4 points total. So what should we call you when we're in the league? I just call you like Plant. Or is there any name we should call you while you're here?
No, most people just call me Plant. I think that's typically what I go by.
Okay, cool. Okay, we'll just call you Plant then. We'll call you first place Plant. You know what I mean? So, first thing I gotta ask you then. So you've obviously had your first weekend playing with this. How'd you feel? Like, obviously, it felt great. You took off 4 points. You took off 4 matchups, but was there anything that stood out to you with it being draft league, or I know you were a little bit newer, right? When I had grabbed you, I remember when I first spoke with you. So I guess just kind of talk about your process with you kind of new more or less to playing, right? I believe, and then just kind of what your process was going into this playing this first weekend.
So I think going into the first week, it's hard to say much about my first singles battle because I kind of just led Zapdos. I wanted a Zapdos set that would beat Seismitoad. So I was initially gonna go with like Toxic Roost. But then I think I had Faye show me a calc of just Zapdos one-shotting -2 Seismitoad at +1 with Hurricane.
Right.
And Metal Sound, an interesting interaction I've seen a couple times is Metal Sound is, because it's a sound move, activates Throat Spray, so you can and it works well because Weavile wanted the boots anyway, so
right. So Giver, did you know about the interaction with the? I had never seen that until I saw the battle, and then when I saw the Zapdos get the boost, I remember watching it. I was at my son's football game, and I was watching it during halftime, and I saw that set, and I was like, oh my god, the Zapdos is about to sweep. And I don't know, Giver, what did you think when you had saw that? Did you? I mean, it's a
I
good
will.
little boost on there.
What I thought, man, it was like it's draft league. Like you got come with the unique sets, and that what it was. It's draft league. Somebody thought outside the box, and I loved it. When I see it, I love seeing that play because it was something different. Well, like you will never see that in an OU ladder. You will never see that in an OU ladder. See that those use throw spray to get a +1 boost,
Yeah,
and
not to that effect, right?
yeah, yeah.
So this the Faye, right? So Faye, I'm mean, he, right? So you see the one that's the one that's helping, right? He seems like a really intelligent person. Uh, so
Oh,
he's the one who
100%.
he helps you with these sets.
Yeah, Faye is someone I often turn to. Is like I'm like if I'm like stuck with something or I'm not like, so, like he often points out things to me that I'm like, oh, that should have been a little obvious, but yeah, that makes perfect sense. Or it's like he won't expect this or because I typically when I build very like sort of well in my mind I imagine as like standard sort of safer brings, and
Right.
then Faye will sort of chime in with brings with built with sets that are more like creative. Uh, occasionally he'll say something, and I'll be like, "That's just not going to work." But uh, usually or alternatively he'll point out to I'll have something on my build and he'll like and he'll be like, "Wow, that's just not going to work." Uh, but generally, I will trust Faye with like what if he says something's going to work, then typically it does end up working. Sometimes I understand why it works. Sometimes it works and I don't understand. Uh,
Right.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
and so actually, we'll so like a big part of this is kind of what I'm trying to say is like, so the way he helps you out, Gilbert, you remember how you and I used to, because the reason I say this, right? So for those guys that are listening, is that so I see a lot of people saying, "Hey, would you like to team build?" or "Hey, would you like to practice?" or "Hey, would you?" So Gilbert, when you and I used to practice against each other, do you remember how we would do it?
We would bring what we think the other player would bring.
Yeah, we would
So
scrimmage for. So like if I said, "Hey Gilbert, can you help me out?" Gilbert would look at who my opponent was going to be, and then we would both kind of point out what we think that person would bring against, let's say myself, and Gilbert would build a team using those mons, and so I would practice for it. I think the whole kind of team, I guess since we're on this topic of team building, I see when players are going to play each other, they'll actually use their teams. But if you're never going to like before week one, I guess I can understand maybe to see some chemistry or see whatever, or if that's really what you're going for. But if you really want a team, if you have somebody, so like let's say Faye, right? Faye might, which y'all could do, or even these other players that all know each other, right? What you can do is, hey, if you got someone that can help you team build, not only can they help you team build, but have them play as one of your opponents, right? Have them, I mean, obviously you can see your opponent's roster, have them bring who you think your opponent's going to bring against you, or who they, if they were your opponent, what would they bring? And then battle them like that. You kind of get that little scrimmage going on, right? That little practice going on. And I'm just saying that's for me and Gilbert, right? Gilbert, I've been to the finals once. Gilbert's won the finals. So I mean that's just a little tip for those of you that are listening. That's the way that I would go about it. I would probably never really, especially in season. I don't think I've ever battled anybody like, oh yeah, we're just gonna battle to scrimmage each other. And especially if we were to play, if I know that we're gonna play each other during the season, I'll never. I mean, there's never a reason for me to play you. Like that's just gonna show you too much. But if we were to practice, it would be like, hey, yeah, can you, be this person's team or whatever. And so, just kind of, because I can kind of relate to what you're talking about as far as like, because that's what Gilbert does with me a lot. Gilbert would help me out with the set, or I would help him out with the set. Maybe in the future. Who knows? Who knows?
yeah, yeah, we know, yeah.
Even beyond just like team building and like the draft process, Faye was very helpful in like there I in pointing out a lot of mods that we believe are like sort of undervalued, but things like the Nidoking and the Arcanine. I think, and even the Melmetal, even though that's already an A tier, but like those mods are like they're very strong, and they can be very versatile in what they do. So like he's very helpful and like I'm sorry I'm saying like a lot, I'm just stuttering.
No, no,
um,
No,
no. We
you're
we
good.
completely understand what you're saying
yeah,
because, like
yeah.
Gilbert, right? Gilbert's a big fan of Nidoking, right? So even he's like, but when him and I were going through the tiers, it was one thing we said like, would he get lost as a B tier? So for
Yes.
him, we usually have two philosophies. We usually have usually the B to C tiers. We'd rather a Pokemon be a C tier and know that he's going to be used in almost every battle because he has great value, than for him to be a B tier and we never see that Pokemon, for the whole league. Like it's just lost cause. Or it'll be the opposite, whereas maybe we should have done it with Melmetal, but it'll be the opposite of like, well, if we think this thing might be too busted in A tier, I'd rather put it in S, and if somebody still drafts him, then they're gonna try, you know what I mean? Then if they can make it work at that point, then that's up to. So that's kind of the two scenarios we have. It's ironic that you mentioned that, or that you guys have mentioned that, because even when building the tiers, those were two mons that were specifically pointed out as far as Arcanine or Nidoking, and we kind of voted, right, Gilbert, at that point, like, okay, let's at least slip them to C tier so that they can be in B
Used.
tier with all these new B tiers joining and some really good ones. Like, would they kind of get lost in the shuffle? Would they kind of, might be it might be hard to justify bringing Nidoking over some other really good B tiers, but at least as a C tier, yeah, I mean, it's one of the best ones out there.
Yeah, and I think that's what our whole point was, to have everything balanced, and so mons get brought. Because seeing Nidoking Arcanine be used successfully, I mean, that's great to see. And especially like even for the B tier mons like our weather sellers, like they're being used quite a bit. We're loving seeing that. So I got a question for you, Plant. How do you feel about your draft? How did you feel that you did with your whole overall draft? Is there anything on your team that you wish you didn't draft, or anything on your team like you wish you changed?
I think there are a couple. Well, I think during the draft, I was really another one of the C tiers I thought was gonna be really good was this Comfey in C tier, which I
Huh?
think hmm, I
Yeah, the
thought Comfey.
comfy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was a really good value pick. So I wanted that, but that got taken before I got around to it. So I ended up with Sylveon, who I think is good, but not exactly my cup of tea. I think actually I should blanket all of these with I think my draft is amazing. I think like I think the majority of my mons are almost pretty much all of my mons are worth where they were tiered, and I think a lot of there gonna be I feel like there gonna be a lot of weeks where I don't end up bringing like my S to A to B 1C because my mods that are below that are just better in the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's some teams. This is not to like throw shade, but there's a couple teams where they have like two C tiers and one is incredibly situational. So they will be forced into bringing like a mon that may not be good in a matchup for like, almost every week. But whereas I think there are gonna be a lot of weeks where I don't even bring like I think Latias is really good, but I think some of my A tiers are better than it. I think Nidoking and Arcanine are better than honestly better than most of my B tiers. I you guys pointed out a lot of honestly you guys pointed out a lot of the Melmetal synergies in the post draft video. I thought, which I really
Mm-hmm.
liked. I think my team has a lot of different ways it can beat you. With like it is the Rancor. It has it's three potentially set up psychic types. Weavile's incredibly strong. Um, Latias can set up. Defensively, a lot of it. My team there's a little bit of a ground weakness if I recall correctly, but with like 4 mons weak to ground. But uh,
Yeah, well, that's one thing we brought up though, was that so even like Melmetal, right? The issue with the Melmetal that's gonna make him even already stronger than he is that technically the only weakness Melmetal has that your opponents could really try and take advantage of is fighting. Because they can't hit it with a fire type move because you're likely gonna have rain, and they can't really hit it with ground because you're always gonna be able to switch into Zapdos or Latias for free. And that's what we were talking about, was kind of that synergy, which is ironic that you mentioned it, right? And I would like to say at this point though we're still on pace because those two Pokemon combined have 14 of your whatever the hell amount of kills it is, the Zapdos and the Melmetal. So that is great
Oh, the
synergy itself.
Zapdos and Melmetal both had fantastic weeks.
Yeah, they really carried their work. But no, I mean, in all aspects, as I mentioned even before the draft, was that all the championship teams that have ever won have all had great B tiers. That's actually where the best it's great B to C tiers. I look at even, so for myself last season, right, I look at me having Kingdra in B tier, right, along with Rain, but I had Kingdra, I had Parasect in C tier. Like, Parasect in the Rain was actually really nasty with its dry skin, right, with holding lefties, right, it would have
doubles.
in doubles, it was disgusting. Yeah, it was really, really disgusting. Like, I mean, my opponents, it was so much fun to use that Parasect, man. That was a hell of a, but yeah, so it's having those. Chino last season, right? He had the Amoonguss, right? Had his B tier depth was just so much quality. I think we had like Blissey still in B tier for some stupid reason last season. Like, I mean, it was really, really strong, but yeah, and then Gilbert before then Zacchaeus has had great B tiers. Hell, we had Zacchaeus. I remember when Zacchaeus, it was one of the playoff matches, I believe, or maybe it was the finals. Hell, that dude, there was a game in the playoffs where he literally brought 3 B tiers and 3 C tiers. That's how much depth he had. Like, those guys were that good. I think it was against Gilbert. It was in the finals of season 2, I think it was.
That's awesome.
It was a doubles battle against me.
Yeah, in the finals. And it worked because it was, like, that's how much that all that depth lower down really helped him. And it was really, like... And I wish I could have heard Gilbert's reaction. He'd probably be like, because Gilbert's real good at scheming as well. Like, him and I do it well. Like, we're really good at predicting what's going to be brought against us, and we're already ready for it. There's no way. I know for sure, Gilbert, right? You could not have been ready for that.
Sometimes the prep is just too fire, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Bro, I lost that game, and I was like, I didn't know how to counter it.
And he won it convincingly too, huh? Surprisingly, he won it pretty well.
He won it convincingly because I didn't have a counter to it. None of my mons had the sets to compete with those other mons that he had brought, and it completely caught me off guard because I think I beat Zacchaeus at singles pretty bad in that double battle. He brought the fire. It was almost
3
fire.
Bs and 3 Cs with his tournament life on the line. Well,
do you remember what a couple of those big B and C tiers were? Or
I can tell you right now.
Yeah, we have our own servers. Yeah,
I have my own server. Yeah, let me put those servers. So
was it this? Oh, it was this one. So he had. So this format, however, it was BDSP only because this draft league originally started only out of BDSP. So in November, we actually would have been doing this for exactly a year, and it started with us just doing BDSP format. So in season 2, it was still, so keep in mind, these tiers are all skewed to BDSP format, right? The limited Diamond and Pearl Pokédex and before. So it was, he had Xatu, Kingdra, Tentacruel, and Umbreon in B tier, and then we had Vileplume, Rotom Fan, Houndoom, and Volbeat in C tier. And I think against Gilbert, he brought the Kingdra, Tentacruel, Umbreon, and then he brought Vileplume, because the Volbeat had Prankster, right? So it was Volbeat, Vileplume, and the Houndoom.
Yeah, and it completely caught me off guard.
That Vileplume was actually pretty... That thing was so annoying.
Vileplume is such a fun mon draft.
Oh my god, that demo. What's the move called? Sap Strength or whatever the hell? Oh my god. Yeah, I remember playing him, man, and I had Infernape, and he beat my Infernape because the only fire move my Infernape had was Flare Blitz, and I was just like hitting him and suffering recoil with Life Orb, and then he would just Sap Strength and heal it back while lowering my attack. It was, I remember being so annoyed. We moved Vileplume up that next season because we had Infernape as an S tier, BDSP, that format is really strong. I was like, how the hell is this C tier that's supposed to be weak to fire walling my... I was like, damn, bro, that's crazy.
No, because you gotta think, this guy had a Tyranitar, a Mamoswine, a Gengar, and a Raikou.
Yeah, those are right. So his S tier was Tyranitar, A tier Mamoswine, Gengar, and Raikou as his 3. Like, even the top side of his team was fire, and yet he brought none of that. That was pretty impressive.
Pissed me off. It pissed me off. My team did not know how to do it. I didn't know how to handle it because
No, I don't blame you. I would never have expected it.
Those are good mods.
Yeah, I need to find the man, I wish I could find. I need to find the old recording. I remember streaming it, and I remember I'm pretty sure on there I was like tripping. I was tripping pretty hard when I saw the team he brought. Yeah. So, but no, how you're saying I think you have one of those. Obviously, your C tiers are very, very well. Even the Ludicolo, the Ludiloco does really well in the rain.
Ludiloco, yeah. I was thinking about Kingdra at one point, but Ludicolo and C tier is like Well, and my ground weakness, but like Ludicolo and C tier is just too
Right.
tempting.
Well, I mean, he
Hey,
does help your ground weakness. He
he
beats
He
him
has
both
does.
ways. He can beat the Gastrodons of the world, right? He can beat anything that, I mean, even if they would have like water absorb or anything that would be immune to water. So I mean, that literally his two types beat ground. So that actually really helps.
Yeah, I think Luke Cole's so good at having that water grass typing, especially even if he goes very well with your team. Man, like your draft was very well. I think it was you and Zakai that we had talked about that probably had two the
Yeah,
best
he
drafts.
Ludicolo's good. He's not no Parasect, but he's
I
good.
think.
The so we gotta ask you then who. Okay, aside from Chino, aside from
Oh,
Zacchaeus,
shit.
okay, who
Okay.
who do you think is your? I don't even want to question it like that because it sounds so disrespectful. But who is it that you're kind of looking as far as, like, man, maybe this guy was, because obviously you're a newer player. We've got a lot of new players this season, so it's not like you really knew anybody or knew what to expect. But I guess aside from Chino or Zacchaeus, who's it that you saw? Whose performance did you see, or maybe by the score, did you see that you're kind of like, oh, okay, like maybe it caught you off guard. I guess I should stay, or kind of that nature.
Yo, there's a 5 kill Diggersby game. I thought that was pretty. Diggersby's a very cool mon. I believe that was the one. I believe that ended up being the one that got turned into a forfeit, sadly, because of like too many A tiers brought.
Oh yeah, it's,
But
Tampa
that
Bay
was
Blaziken's, yeah.
I thought 5 kill Diggersby. Diggersby's always such a cool mon. Sadly lost return, but my answer who was like the coach I'm most scared of was definitely going to be, or alternatively, if you would ask the coach I want to beat the most, it was also going to be Chino, but because
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Whoa. So why
uh,
why do you want to beat him the most? Why is it,
so I
aside from avenging wild cards, season 4 championship loss? Why do you,
oh,
dude? I'm always gonna point that out, because I know you're listening,
oh yeah,
right? So I'm
I
always
know.
gonna point this out, But why do you want to play just out of respect? Or you
So
think it'd be a good matchup or what?
I think I believe is Chino the defending champion or is
Yes,
he?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
by
that
it was crooked. He's the defending champion. Cheetos. Yes,
I think
some would say not rightfully so. That maybe it was lucky. Okay, some would say that, and all one person in my household agrees with that. So
I think he has a Dragapult, which is an incredible, it's like unbelievable Pokemon in draft. Just 'cause it's
yeah,
like
maybe a bit
Dragapult
broken.
Yeah,
Maybe a
has
bit broken.
ins
Yes.
maybe a little bit broken. He has uh Toxapex. I think I was impressed by how he very much outplayed me in the finals. I thought he made a couple really good doubles that put me on the back foot. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. I just want to.
Avenge
It's
that pre. I forget. Yeah, I forget. So for those who don't know, in our preseason, if you guys can recall, a plant actually played Chino in the finals. And yeah, I remember that was a really good game. I remember, what did I tell you? You remember I pointed it out. There was a specific turn where I think he predicted kind of how you're saying. He really got you on the back foot. I know it was a turn. I think it was when the
it was a
Oh,
double. It was a
Polytoad.
double.
The
Yes.
Polytoad came in. No, they played it final. It was singles. The Polytoad
Oh,
came in. The Polytoad came in, and you had it scarfed, and you would have caught him off guard with it. But he came in and he knocked off your scarf. And at that point, I was like, "Oh,
that
you're
was
never." That was the turning point, right? Am I correct in
that
that?
was annoying. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the turning point. There was the replay might be somewhere. There was another. There's a couple doubles where he like got Nihilego, where he like got I don't know. There was he just got me in a couple turns that I really want that I wish I could have had back. But
Right.
Faye pointed
Well,
out to me that
it
my
still worked out
very
well. So I gotta ask you then. I gotta ask you. So had you won, what draft slot would you, because you picked second, so I think you still chose second. Would you have picked first then? Obviously, and then I'm assuming you would have picked first then. And then if you
don't.
would have, who would you have picked?
I think that I was always going to go Melmetal, regardless of where I ended up. Um, I'm not 100% sure where I would have liked to pick. Uh, I probably would have done first, admittedly. But I think Melmetal and A tier is very just amazing value. And I really want to build a team around Melmetal. So I think. I don't know where I probably would have been first, and it probably still would have picked Melmetal just to guarantee it. However, I may have picked second and then said, okay, if he takes Melmetal, then I will simply take my consolation Dragapult. Uh,
Yeah. Consolation in it, right? That's
consolation in
the
air quotes, yes.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. What a
also,
first world problem to have there.
I'm
Oh,
Jeez.
looking over some of these scores. There's a 6 kill Gigalith.
These are
Uh,
guys,
th-
yep.
you guys.
okay, that checks
That
out.
instruct, dude, Jesus. I see. In looking
Oh,
at it, it's almost one of those like I don't even know who to give the kill to because like really it was Orin Guru's turn that it happened, but then it's
Yeah,
like
but
it's going off of Gigalith, right? So it's like, dude,
um,
and I knew too. I even told Gilbert like I knew Zakai's was gonna take him because when I was getting with all the players right to recommend what Pokemon they want to have added, was Zakai's had mentioned the Gigalith. And he wanted it to be in B tier. I was like, well, he recommended it to be in B tier. And I told him, I said, it needs to be an A tier. So it has to be an A tier because it does the same thing Tyranitar does as far as set sand. It's only got one weakness, unlike Tyranitar. And it's far, far better in Trick Room and Surprise. The Kais has them in Trick Room. Then, if you remember, the very end, like right before the preseason started, Zacchaeus had also mentioned bringing in the Oranguru, and he grabbed that one as well. And once I saw the Gigalith, I was like, he's gonna grab this other one, or vice versa. I can't remember which one he grabbed first. Once he grabbed one, I was like, oh, I know he's gonna grab the other. But I was very surprised that Gigalith stayed out that long, especially after he grabbed the Exadrill. I would never recommend like sabotaging your own draft to be like, oh, well, let me make sure this guy doesn't get this weather because you're kind of at that point, like you're not really doing addition by subtraction, right? You still got to kind of build around it rather than otherwise you're just playing with the 11 Pokemon.
of
But
course.
yeah, he was still being able to grab it, still being able to grab the Stoutland as well. I thought even Stoutland, the way it kind of lasted out there, I think Stoutland, even without the Sen, I mean, still got its Intimidate. It did lose Return, which is kind of a big bummer for it.
Yeah, the loss of return actually really stinks for Stoutland because it doesn't even get like double edge, so it has to rely on. I
Yeah,
believe.
tackle,
as somebody who
tackle.
as somebody yeah, tackle, right? Covet. As somebody who has 4 Yorkies that all look like him, I need to make my boy Stoutland pretty good, right, Milo? He
Uh,
don't give a damn. He's asleep.
is this your first draft league? Let me ask you that question.
This is not my first draft league. I've done.
Oh, okay.
Have, I thought I may not have mentioned this. I believe I did, but I've done. I really do. I really enjoy draft league. I have some experience in it. I'd say.
Okay, so then
Uh,
let me ask this then. So how is this one? I guess either for better or for worse, whatever. How does this one differ from some? How many other ones have you played? Then how many would you say?
actually, I played in a couple. I think I don't actually know the number off the top of my head. I'd have to do some
Dang, that
digging.
many, huh?
But I think I've done doubles and I've done singles, but I think drafting one team for both is a really unique format. I haven't done that
Oh
before.
yeah, I remember you telling me that in
Uh,
messaging. Yeah.
yeah. I think it really like emphasizes the Pokemon that can do well in both, whereas as opposed to something like a Dragonite, which maybe is really good in singles, it's like I might be more hesitant to pick it because it's a
Yeah.
little mediocre in
Hey, well,
doubles.
my boy. First off, okay. First, hold on. All right, all right, all right. Gilbert, who's my favorite Pokemon?
You and Dragonite.
Yeah, so you're not gonna come on here,
Oh,
bro, and just slander
I
Dragon.
know.
Okay, I've got my computer here, and I got my little Dragonite. He's like a 2-inch little minifigure, and I got him in there. Okay, he's keeping the PC cool in there. All right, and
Yeah,
he's got inner focus. Okay, he's got inner
he
focus.
does.
All right. Now that's all he's got though. That's all he's gonna do. But yeah, so
Uh, I've seen. Oh, there's some use for Dragonite in like currently people don't really like Series 13, so they're playing like I assume it's maybe a stupid question. I assume do you know what the format the Spike Myth Cup is?
No.
So it's a like fan created format it's essentially um Series 7, which is like all the Pokemon that are like in that are obtainable in Sword and Shield, but without Dynamax.
Okay.
So Dragonite has proven to be pretty good in that with the inner focus buff. Uh, but It's not really that common because it's just fake out spam and
Right.
like
Well, that's right though.
these
Forget. Right now that we move back to Gen 8 mechanics, right? The inner
fake out
focus
spam,
prevents
but
the intimidate. Yeah, I forgot
fake
about that.
not fake out spam, but like it's just like 80 base speed and it has to like DD has to rely on Dragon Claw into Wing Beat, which are not the most
Yeah.
strong move, but it does get extreme speed, which is very valuable. Um, so yeah. Uh, I also there's one cool team I saw where this was years ago now, but it was Aqua Jet Dragonite with Colossal, because it can't get faked out.
It,
So
what did I tell you? I brought this up the other day. I think I brought up
Yeah, cool
off. I
Jet,
had
yeah. That's why
I-
Chino traded out the Colossal right away. I was like, damn it, Chino, we literally spent a section talking about that damn thing.
it seems like Amon's gonna be hard to make work in a non-Dynamax format, but
Yeah, right. So you
yeah.
Aqua Jet. It's kind of like the old VGC one, right, where you had you had Sylveon using Quick Attack, and so that made it a Fairy type, and I think you would like Quick Attack a Tyranitar or something like that, right? And the T-Tar was
Yeah,
holding the weakness policy.
guys, a T-Tar. There's stuff with like Comfey and Dragapult kind of is a threatening combination. You can choose Draining Kiss, which is +3 priority proc policy, um, and Draining Kiss obviously, and then you can spam Triage Floral Healing, which is very deadly. You can do that with the Galarian Moltres. Really, just weakness policy on anything. In
Yeah,
Dynamax.
is
That's
very
scary.
it's very strong. Okay, so sorry. So we got off topic. Which
We're
hey,
getting
that's
very
what
off
the
topic.
tangents are for. Okay, so like I said, so how do you feel so far about this league as far as how you said? So it is different, right? We do singles and doubles. I like it because it emphasizes, I mean, the team building aspect. Like you really need to build yourself, right? Mons that are maybe both good in both formats, or just kind of, especially come playoff time, you really see it because the players will really get to emphasize like what format they want to play in. So if you're the better seed, you'll get to dictate, hey, I want to play my matches in seed. Or you can, you'll look at your opponents, right? You can look at them and like, damn, this guy only won one singles match the entire regular season, or he only won one double. Like, and if your team's versatile enough, you might just dictate to them like, hey, out of the best 2 out of 3, we're gonna be playing, two of those games are going to be doubles, and the middle game's going to be singles, or however, and the finals is a overall best 3 out of 5, and it would be the same thing. Like you can choose which format. So like you, for example, if it stays the same, you're the number 1 seed. So if you were ever to make it all the way to the finals, the entire way there, you would get to dictate what format it does. So it also has a little bit more emphasis as well in the postseason, depending on how you choose to play it. But yeah, so anyway, so how I don't know. Is there anything else that's different of this league, or is it just?
I think there's the uh, I played in a couple item clause leagues before, and it really it can be a tad restricting, but it also really increases the like variety of items you see as opposed to like 3. My there would definitely be weeks my team ran like 3 heavy duty boots mons.
Yeah, and 3 lefties on the other ones.
Maybe, um, maybe 2 lefties and a damp rock or something. But uh, the other thing, there's the like 1S, 2A, 2B, 1C is not something I've actually had to deal with before, and it's proved to be actually I thought like preseason, like before the season, I read that rule was actually very hesitant. I was like, that seems like it's going to be very restricting. It's not as but like you can, like a lot of things, you can draft around it. You can draft like I had that in mind while drafting, which is why I made sure like I liked a lot of the A tiers, and then so I picked those up for getting an S tier. So like Latios probably. I know you guys mentioned that it. I think you mentioned it destroyed the league season 1. It might not come to a lot of games just because I think my A tiers are so good, and like there's one earlier this. There's one of my games this week. I wanted to bring like Lottie, Melmetal, Zapdos, Necro, but I couldn't. But I was able to drop Necro for G-Bro and call it a day.
Yeah. I mean, even the Galarian Slowbro actually is really, really great as well. I mean, it's all the Slowbros are with the teleport kind of buff in this generation. They really are.
Yeah,
They
your
play so many
generator
really tough.
is such a stupid ability.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if they're. I know there was discussion. I don't know if they ended up doing it. I know that there was talk of them maybe having Regenerator be a quarter instead of a third, but I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll
that
see.
probably fair. It's like it's so stupid on especially on like on the slow twins, on Tornadus, on like
Yeah,
on Toxapex. It's
yeah.
why
Well,
it's just
I
so
think even
broken.
just yeah, it's already busted, but I think with teleport, it's even better. You can ask Gilbert actually like a day or two before the draft. Kind of had this thing where I legit was going to only because I didn't know how to be, or I know people kind of had their draft boards ready, but we were actually going to move most of the slow people to A tier. Just because teleport with the regenerator is really powerful. Like there's no even at least U-turn, you can get hit by iron barbs, you can get hit by rocky helmet, you can still there's certain things that you can still get hit by. You can get flame bodied, you can get static, you can still and then you make the switch and there's no guarantee that you're switching last. Teleport, right? The downside of teleport is that you're gonna take a hit because you're going last, right? So unless your opponent switches, but you're going to take a hit, but in return, you're going to get momentum because you're going to switch to the more favorable advantage, right? But with regenerator, that doesn't happen. There is no downside. There's no you're gonna get hit, but then you're gonna heal it right back, and you're still gonna get momentum. So it's just a free. It's essentially you click it, and worst case scenario is you're gonna essentially heal that damage back, right? Because I mean, you're probably not gonna stay and teleport on like a thunderbolt or something. You'd probably pre-switch at that point. If it's like any like if you have Reggie like in front of you, you're not gonna let the slow bro or whoever, right? You're not gonna let them take that hit. So yeah, I think we were really considering it. And then we were like, hey, people really like it that much that they're gonna take it as A tier value. Then hey, go ahead, more power to you. But it's one of those things. It was like the day before the draft. I think it was that Friday, and I was like, yeah, I didn't want to like try and change it that late. But yeah, it definitely was. We were close. We were close to switching it over. I'll put it like that. It was real close.
Oh, the fact that you can just create so many no drawback plays, they're just, as you said, they're fantastic ones.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. No, it's extremely good, But like I said, so hopefully, hopefully you're enjoying the league so far.
Oh, I am. 4 games in a week. To me, that's gonna take a little bit of adjustment. 4 games is like to me a lot, but I can handle it. I think.
Yeah, hopefully you can, because I mean, last weekend you only played 6 games overall, so that's the new change we've added this season. So the last weekend is gonna be, and so for those of you who don't know or haven't seen the schedule that I posted way ahead of time, so the last weekend 4, you are playing all 3 of your opponents. Obviously, you play them twice. As far as like on that weekend, so it's a total of 6 games that weekend. And remember, guys, the results tab will be closed. So all your results, you'll save them. You can go ahead and send them to me, since I'm neutral
that's
in
always a
this
fun
commissioner.
format.
And that obviously is gonna make it to where there's no collusion involved. Nobody knows what any score is. Nobody knows. So theoretically, if you are at least 5 points behind maybe the division leader, maybe behind the first place guy, if although unlikely, but if he drops all his games and you win all yours, you can literally catch up to somebody by 6 points. Now it's gonna be. I remember last season when we did it, it was still a normal weekend. It was we closed the results tab so that there was no collusion. Nobody was like, oh well, I'm already out anyways. Yeah, you can have the win because this guy won, so I can't get this spot from him or blah blah blah. And so we closed the results tab for the first time, and I think it was the first time going into that last weekend where everybody, there was so much parity. That entire league. Not the entire league, but everybody was within 4. So if you won all 4 points, you could either seal up like the very last spot to get in the playoffs, or you can maybe, if you're in the middle, you can clinch the number 1 overall spot. Like everybody was pretty bunched together.
Get that very crucial extra bye week.
Yeah, and so I remember it was a big, everybody, we had like a little live stream and we put all the, we were literally showing all the results. We just opened it and let everybody post the results, that they had been holding on to for a day or two, and then live streamed it. We all watched it together, and I remember that was a real popular one, and a lot of people, because we needed to see, who won this game and how does that affect the standings and who made the playoffs and et cetera, et cetera. And that's going to happen again this season, but it's going to be with a lot of games because now it's the entire, you play the entire division. So I mean, and then their division matchups as well. So there's gonna be a lot of tie breaking that goes into that. But yeah, we did add it. We used to do just 2 games per weekend, And then by the time the season would end, I think everybody was playing like a total of 8 games. You know, two games over 4 weekends. But players kind of wanted to use their team more, and so the only option was either to drag the season on even longer or just to have more games played. And so we decided to do the more games played. But obviously, you know, players, we're also doing it on Showdown, whereas, you know, most other leagues you do it on like, you know, the Switch or the DS or whatever. And so, you know, without the use of maybe genning your Pokemon, that could also be really difficult to try and make numerous teams, right, with the correct IVs or whatever. And whereas on Showdown, literally takes, you know, a minute to construct a team. It's just a matter of how much time you want to put into it, right? How many calcs you want to know to have, how many. It's more of, and it shows come game time. I mean, you can tell who's really thought of their team. I mean, that stuff, I guess, you know, Gilbert and I that are more experienced in doing it, you know, I guess even you're yourself, right? You say you've done a lot of draft leagues, like you can tell right off the bat who's put thought into building their team, or who's, you know, because you can tell who's kind of copy and paste. So they're using the same team for singles and same team for doubles, because like I'll look at their singles matchups, and in both of their against both of their opponents, they use the Pokemon are literally in the exact same spot. I mean, they're they literally just brought the same team. And like I said, for me, I've never done that before. I don't know two opponents that, like, you know, no two opponents have the same rosters, so I don't know how you can bring the same 6. But hey, that's just me, though.
You just don't have the time. I get it, especially if you're like in just a very bad season. It can be hard to find that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I guess that little motivation, right? That little.
Well, I think that's why we have so many games. Is you're never out of the playoffs. Like Mike is a perfect example. Last season, he didn't get into the playoffs the very last game because of Chino. He was out of the playoffs. But that last season, the last 4 games or last 6 games, he killed it. He did very well, and I got that.
Yeah. To be fair, I was smacking everybody. I was giving it to them in doubles. Okay, none of my games were even close to doubles. I built a strictly doubles team. Okay,
how about singles?
It was the singles that it was like I just could not catch a break. Okay, I had Madrid Mankeys with me. I had Kolzak with me, and who's the other guy I had with me? I had no, I didn't even have Kolzak in that one. I'm so used. I did play Kolzak though. I did lose to him in he was my added division game. I had 2 other players I didn't return, but one of the dude had fucking Zapdos, which was better in the rain than my whole team was. Okay, I wanted Zapdos so bad, and then the other guy had the damn Toxapex, and that thing was just mad annoying. And he had the Raichu as well, which was really annoying as well with the lightning rod. So I was like, yeah.
Singles Raichu would be it's a very interesting one. Doubles Raichu, it's like. That makes more sense.
Yeah, and so, but no, in singles, I didn't win a singles matchup until that last week, and I had to win 3 out of my 4 games. So I knew my scenario. I had to win at 3 out of 4 games, and I had to hope either Ricky, who's the coach of Podgerices Cups, or Zacchaeus, right, the mini Mudkips. I had to hope they dropped a couple games, and that any of them that they did drop were dropped heavy. And lo and behold, Chino threw me a bone, and he yeah, he beat Zacchaeus at the like 6-0, and then he beat him 5-0. So he gave him a -11, and Zacchaeus and I tied on points, and I was able to sneak through because at that point now my KO differential was just like way higher than his, and so, you know, we talked about it on the other podcast when we had them on. But yeah, you know, that the irony though, right? Like I almost because of that, and then me meeting him in the finals, like him beating Zacchaeus that bad almost caused his demise of me being the one to beat him. That would have been great. You know,
it looks a lot cooler when you allow someone into playoffs just to beat them.
Yeah, just to beat me. It's like I knew it. It's no big deal. No, we had an epic one. I had a lot of fun playing him. He was a bit lucky, but I had a lot of fun playing him. I'm just gonna mention that. I mean, it wasn't any kind of luck, but it was. And no. So as we reach this last part here, the chip damage. I'm just like making up sections as I go. The chip damage.
I like it.
Yeah. So we're just gonna ask. We're just gonna ask you these. We're gonna call it damage calcs or end of turn. I don't know. One of these days, okay, just chip damage. Sorry, I'm sorry. The entry. So what I should have the opening section. I should call it like the entry hazard. All right, here's the entry hazard, dude. I'm just like, ask Gilbert, man. I have like so many stupid ideas. Like I legit, I should be a salesman. I really should
deal with this on a daily basis.
I could sell. I could sell some 10-year-old kids some slowpoke tails. I'm telling you, I really could. I could definitely sell it for like, what was it in the game? Something like 10 million Poke dollars. Whatever. I could sell
whole lot.
Yeah,
I remember.
I can sell those for nutritious. What are they? Fresh, nutritious slowpoke tails. I'm telling you, bro. You know. Anyway, so this last section, we're just gonna ask you just random questions about anything, just Pokemon related, and just feel free to give us an answer there. And if we go on a tangent, we go on a tangent. That's what this thing's about. Gilbert, I'll go ahead and let you ask the first question then.
So, Plant, when did you start playing Pokemon? Let me ask you that question.
Ooh, so my parents got me a DS and Pokemon Diamond.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, Gen 4. He's a Gen 4 kid.
Did you have the original DS, that big old fat one, or did you have the DSi?
No, I had a DS. I had a DS Lite. Not that old, but.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry,
Damn,
no, sorry,
for someone
sorry,
who's
sorry,
played
sorry,
the
not that-
original games,
No, I was gonna say it's actually like 2000, like. Ooh.
that had to have been
8
about
or
07 then,
so?
right? Because 05 is
No,
when the original DS came out. 04,
Yeah, it's
05.
like 08, 09 actually. It's like
Okay,
so
yeah.
Platinum and Heart
Oh, it
Gold,
was
so
that thin
I got
DSi. It was those cool
Yeah.
little ones. Man,
I-
my man don't even know what it's like to use the DSi with that Game Boy Advance cartridge.
Bro,
I
the
actually never even used it. I've never had a DSi. I had a DS Lite with the GBA cartridge slot on it.
Oh, the light. Okay. So you had that second model, then you didn't have the whole.
Yeah,
Okay, so then he does know.
Years later, I actually got Pokemon Leaf Green and played through it on it. That was
Dude,
really
Leaf
fun.
Green. Dude, if I read Leaf Green, I freaking love that game. That game's good. Okay, so let me ask you a question then. So what is? I mean, I think we just gotta. We try not to ask questions that maybe we've asked people before. Gilbert, keep that in mind as well. But I think this is one we definitely gotta ask everybody because it kind of says something about your personality. But who's your favorite Pokemon?
Genesect.
Genesect, really?
What? Okay, backstory.
What's this?
It's-
Yeah.
So, I just think Genesect. I think he's very fun to use whenever he's allowed for the 1 week he's allowed.
Yeah.
Every time.
Before he gets auto
I
back,
think
yeah.
I think the concept is amazing. I love the lore, the backstory, where it's like, or the theory where it could be like the dead Kabutops revived, and they
Right.
just put a cannon on it. I just think it's cool. I've never gotten to use it in Draft League. One day I will, and I will destroy everyone with it.
Yeah,
but,
he's definitely a cool
uh,
man-made Pokemon. Almost as cool as Porygon. But yeah, he's cool. No, not really. I'm just joking.
Oh,
with you.
I also played through. I played through Black and White.
We wouldn't-
Pokemon Black 2.
we don't talk about Black and White around here. Those games we don't.
Hey,
talk
Black
about
and White 2 is okay. Black
Okay,
and White 2 is okay.
So
Black and White's
I played through Redacted 2 when the first came out. And they were giving out a level 15 Genesect.
Uh-huh.
And I played through the game with that.
With the Genesect, was it the
Yeah.
shiny one or no?
It was not shiny.
Speaking of, I think they just announced today, right? There's a Volcanion event and a Genesect event in Sword and Shield. I don't know if you have to go to GameStop or something. I literally just saw it on Twitter
Yeah,
today.
you have to go to GameStop. There's a Genesect and Volcanion event, and then there's later down the line there'll be a Marshadow event.
Oh, okay. He's like, yeah, I already know about it. He's like, I got an alert on my phone. I just heard Genesect. He's like, he has his phone to autofilter Genesect.
Imagine.
So, what do you feel about Marshall? How do you feel about that man? I don't see him.
Ooh, he's
Marshadow?
I hate how like
That special that he came in was pretty cool. That movie was
I
alright.
kind of hate how. Admittedly, Genesect falls under this category as well, but he at least had an event in game that you could do. But like the Gen 6 and onwards, they don't even have in game events. They
Right,
just like
dude. That's
they exist just to sell movies. That's all they
right.
do.
Gen 3 and Gen 4 did it right. Because Gen 3 you had that cool Deoxys event. You had the Mew one. You can even go to, what is it, Naval Island or whatever, right? With the whole
Naval
Olivia.
Rock. and you
Yeah,
could
the
get
Rock. Yeah, then that Deoxys had a really cool one. And then Hard Gold, Soul Silver really did it well. They did it right. They had I still have mine. Yeah, you had the spike-eared Pichu. You had that Arceus event where it would create the egg. I mean, the Celebi event itself, right? The time travel. Even Black and White. I still have on my Sword and Shield. I have my shiny Suicune.
The Celebi event where you can like go fight Giovanni is like,
Dude,
I never got to do it, but it's so awesome.
The
It's so
backstory where they
cool.
confirmed that Silver is his
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that one's pretty dope. That was pretty dope. All right, Gilbert, what's your question?
So, what's your thoughts on Sword and Shield, and what's your thoughts on Scarlet and Violet?
Okay, are we talking about the meta or the game?
The game.
Okay, so this is what I always tell people. I can't play anything on cart because I played through Sword and Shield the week it came out. Didn't really like it. I literally saw Swordbert and Shieldbert and deleted the game.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid, dude. I got to that part. I still haven't
No,
finished. I haven't done that.
I could not. I really did not enjoy playing through Sword and Shield.
Dude, what you got against people with bad, like, that have bad hair days? Like, what? I mean, is that
Yeah, bad hair day, but like when every day is a bad hair day, I think it's more of a character design problem. Like,
We talking about we got
so?
top
If they
tier
were
league?
wearing caps, you'd be okay. So Pokemon messed up by not giving their characters caps. Is that what we're saying?
yes, yes. It's also partial. Like, more accurately, it's a bit of straw that broke the camel's back, and I just did not like Sword and Shield.
No, I
I,
agree. Neither did I.
I enjoyed playing through most of the. I'm optimistic about Scarlet and Violet because I did enjoy Legends Arceus a lot,
Hmm.
but um, Sword and Shield just were not it for me.
I think everybody feels that. I think everybody has. I think the meta. I think like OU, like from small guns point of view, it's a really decent game. I like the
It is
mechanics that they brought. I thought except for Dynamaxing's trash. But like how the
fair.
weather, the weather fix, it happens instantly with the speed, inner focus, like different stuff. I like the aspect that they did in that part, but the game itself is trash.
Yeah, they
And
really focused on competitive this generation, which is good to see. Right? They tried scaling certain stuff back. And then they made something as broken as Dynamax, but they yeah, I think they did try and cater more to competitive, which it looks like they're still leaning into that. They're right. They're introducing cool items and things as far as Scarlet and Violet, which we'll get to that second part of the question. But no, I fully agree. I did like the whole, so like the wild area. Seeing it right away, I was like, yeah, this is not open world. This is not. I never saw the hype behind it. I still don't even like it. I do like the raid system to a fact of like it felt like the first multiplayer. Now, obviously, it immediately got bugged out
Outclassed.
and glitched, and people found a way to kind of
Oh yeah,
circumvent
true.
everything.
Yeah.
So that kind of didn't last very long. But for a while, when my friends and I were doing it, it was pretty cool to get on. That's actually fun fact. That's actually the whole reason I even got Discord. Was that so? Me being 30 years old, back in my day, we I didn't really use Discord. I kind of knew what it was, but I never used it up until Sword and Shield released, and then my friend was like, "Yeah, get on Discord." And I literally learned how to use Discord just because of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, and then because we're on Discord now, I can create this league. So, okay, we've come full circle. So you, Plant, can thank Sword and Shield for being here
being
talking
here.
with us right now. Yeah,
I will say I didn't even get the DLC. Like I saw the DLC. It's like cool. I don't need that because I'm optimistic about Scarlet and Violet. I'm just hesitant because of Sword and Shield, and there's also someone I saw a Wolf Glick video where he's like someone did like a pixel by pixel count of how big the damage boost terrestrialization is if you terrestrialize into your same type.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I just watched that video. Yeah.
supposedly it might be like in the trailer it might be like a 3 times boost. I think if it's a 3 times boost, that's like game destroying. But if it's like a 2 times boost, it's probably when it's like left to be determined. It's probably a 2 times boost though, and then it's like it is potential to be a really cool mechanic. I think. That's all. Yep.
Yeah, no,
I will be
I
definitely buy
fully
that.
I fully agree on that. Okay, so next question then. Um, what? Okay, I gotta phrase this. Like, what's your favorite play style? I guess so. Like, if you're playing the latter, right? Would you rather have like an hyper offensive team, or do you like having a stall team, or do you like having a more pivoting team? That's kind of like what's your favorite play style to play through on the ladder?
Um, definitely some sort of like bulky offense or hyper offense. I do not have the patience to play a stall team. Um, just honestly, like
Right.
I acknowledge that they're good. They can be a little bit of a mix up when you have to like play around them and maybe you have to adjust your team because they can't actually be a stall team. But I could not play as a stall. I could not like use a stall team unless it was one of like the gimmicky fake stall teams where in reality it's Swords Dance Skarmory and Cosmic Clefable and
Hmm.
like uh um I will put an asterisk because like 75% of the time when I'm Lannering, it's me and a couple friends in call, just like reading like the stupidest stuff on the bottom of the national dex ladder,
Yeah.
which like and we're just trying to get it to work, and sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. Uh, we had a mono ring out team that we could not get a win with recently, but it was fun.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, sometimes right, you have to do that so you're not just
Oh
playing kind
yeah.
of the same generic insert whatever meta, you know,
Yep.
UU
Yep. Yep.
OU
Yep.
team there. Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. Gilbert, what you got for him?
So, so looking at it right now, like, how do you feel about where we're at currently with Pokemon? You think we're like getting a little bit better with like how they're developing the games, or we're going behind? Because you say you started on Gen 4, probably one of the best generations we've had, and now we're here with Sword and Shield. And there's a big old difference. Like Sword and Shield's animation is not the best, but Legend Arceus was really, really, really good. So, how are you feeling about all this? Like, you think this upcoming games are like going to see like determine like how good the next Pokemon series is? Like, you think that is the hype's going to die down a little bit, or how do you feel about that?
Knowing Pokemon, they shouldn't live up to expectations. However, I am still optic. Again, I already said that I am still very. I think these games look like they could be really, really good. Like just as actual games. Uh, I think I enjoyed. I've enjoyed playing through all of them except for like Gen 6 is a little boring, and Sword and Shield are what they are. But I enjoyed playing through like pretty much all of the other ones. Like I think they are definitely learn. Sword and Shield got so much backlash, and but it showed with like the wild area. It showed they are like trying to. This may be my rose-colored glasses, but it shows they are trying to sort of like evolve the series and like
Right. Trees
I don't
aside. Yeah, trees aside.
trees aside. Um, though they might be taking away reusable TMs, and I don't know how I feel about that quite yet.
Well,
Uh,
okay, so my counter that, yeah, when I found out about that, I was like, oh my god, you know, for competitive, obviously, it's, I do like the whole craft because I was really a big fan of the crafting from Legends Arceus. You know what I mean? I actually wish it was a little bit harder to get some of the items, you know, because after a while when you play it, you can kind of go to that town square, you know, and just buy your items and stuff. I did like more, I guess more of definitely for Legends Arceus because it felt more like a kind of a mini survival game. You know what I mean? And so you want to like be geared out and stuff as you head out right on your expedition. That's literally what they would tell you. So I wish it was more of like you found stuff and then crafted it rather than like, oh, now at this point I can just buy a whole bunch of Ultra Balls. I can buy a whole bunch. You know, you didn't really need to craft. I mean, more the you know, the Gigantamax or whatever ball, the really good ones. And
Heavy ball, like the
yeah, yeah,
I don't remember the other
the
types
winged
of
ones and a
but
feather ball or whatever. Yeah, and so I guess the whole crafting aspect, I can understand it because we wanted to have a lot of replayability is the thing. And that's why I like the whole terrestrializing as far as there are certain types or they're, you know, the rare ones, you know, you got to get them from doing the raids or whatever. Like it at least gives you a reason to still go back and kind of play
Oh, okay.
it after.
To add to that, if I could make one item in the game, what item would it be? If from like the pros and cons to it, what kind of item would y'all make? Since you could create anything, what item would y'all make?
wait, if I could make an item?
You
Yeah,
know
if you
what,
can
for
make
battling or
battling or for the in game, like an assault vest, like but for physical type moves, or one that lowers your HP by half, but makes your attack go up by like
okay,
half.
I would like to create. If I had to bring one, I'd like the one from Legends Arceus where it's the choice. I forgot whatever the hell it is. Where, um, maybe you know it. Plant. It's like a dish or something, right? That you feed them or you give them, and it's the one where your attacks do more. Your attacks do more. You're not locked into one move, but your attacks do more. But attacks that you receive also do more. Um,
Oh, is it like no, that's not the styles. That's the
isn't it like choice soup or something like it's an actual like item or it's something that you give them. It's
uh
I can't remember. It's unique to Legends Arceus, but it's basically you deal like 30% more damage, but you get dealt back either 30 or 50% more damage as well. It's
that's
something
cool.
of that nature. But if I had to create something, I would actually like try and create a new. I would like, and I think Gigantamax had it with like steel types, where it's like, isn't that what the steel one did when you use the steel type move? It had like it was like Stealth Rock, but for steel type. I'm not sure. Am I
Oh,
tripping?
That's Copperaj's move.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
Kapashi,
okay. I would like one, but of a different type. Like, give me one of it's like Stealth Rock, but I don't know, for fire or something that's already like, or ice or something that's a really weak type in general, but or it's real frail, quote unquote, or even one for bug. I don't know, something. Well, I guess they have sticky web, but like something that, almost like another Stealth Rock. Just essentially, I would create another entry hazard that is of a type that doesn't get used a lot. So I don't know. That's what I would create.
What would I create? I've not thought about this much. I would.
All right, Gilbert, what would you create then while we let
Yeah,
Plant think?
Gilbert,
While we let
I'll-
Plant
I'll,
think,
I'll
what would you
Google.
create, Gilbert? You answer your own question then.
I would create like I think I would create like a soft best version, but for physical type moves, like for monsters like that, like just a counterpart to it, so you could get playability more physical type mons. You can bounce out a little bit more if they have more special defense. You get more physical.
Oh, I know what I would bring. I would like the frostbite mechanic to come. I would, instead of it being frozen, I would love for the special type, your special stat to be halved.
Another like just rolling, tangent. I know we're going on a tangent, but like going.
Yeah,
this is
that's
going on
what this
tangent.
show's
Going
about,
back to going back to the you mentioned you had seen the video where like people were getting about like the word fear of terrestrialization because of the trailer, right? That trailer also showed a Pokemon with a sleeping like status symbol, attacking as if it had drowsy, like in Legends Arceus. So like that could at least should hint at Frostbite being in the game instead of Freeze, which is an amazing.
It
change.
needs to, yes. It really needs to.
So like if they're creating like that, you could add like a move. You could add like a move like a Will-O-Wisp type move that always causes
Frostbite.
frostbite. You can, I think there are a lot of things you could buff about like hail, or you could make like you could make. I think hail should like do what sand does for rock type mons. It should like boost their fizz def or boost their spadef by like 50%.
Maybe boost their defense instead, because right, sand is special defense, right? So maybe it'd be like boost your defense or something.
Okay. Yeah. I really don't know what I think I'll go with the lame answer and say a move that causes frostbite, but because I don't know. I'm not the game designer. I don't know what I'd add.
He's like, I just abuse the mechanics. I don't make them. Not
Yes.
really.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'll get to my last question then.
Actually, sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
There are a
go
couple things I would change. Like boots, probably should only like on one hand you say boots could only like have hazard damage. On the other hand, you could say like stealth rock should not do as much damage as it does to mons that have quad weaknesses. Like if stealth rock damage was like across the board halved, you could probably either get rid of boots entirely or like.
But I just love it when my charger comes in and takes half his health already. I just love that.
But I also love when Tornadus gets to just U-turn for free and get all of its health back. Or when what is it? Or when Hippo comes in and doesn't take damage because they decided to put boots on a Hippowdon. Like, and it's
We need to be able to see our Pokemon wearing the boots, right? That's what we need. We need to see our Pokemon
absolutely.
with the
That's what we
items.
really do.
Yeah.
I want to see Volcarona in the with the 6 boots be canon.
I want to see Ferrothorn with all its little vines, like all having their own little Rocky helmet on there. You know what I mean? Just a big old helmet, and then all the little whatever the hell, all have their own little bitty.
All the thorns.
Yeah, their own little bitty helmet. Yeah, that'd be dope.
That nation team that'd be too much work for them. Come on now, they could make.
Now I will say
true.
this though. I will, now that they're under new direction with that younger dude doing it, Junichi Masuda, and shout out to him. Hey, but with him really taking more of a director role, like a background, and not being the actual director. It's that younger dude, and he's the one that's also helped spearhead Legends Arceus. So I think that's the other good thing too. You can it's a younger kind of person doing it now, and so I don't know. I think we could just like, you know what I mean. It's amazing. Like now all of a sudden that they're allowed to have their own ideas. Like I guess they won't be as conservative, and even then in general, like Japan's known for being more conservative, and Nintendo in general is known for being more conservative. Like why change up the formula? You're gonna sell millions of games regardless if the game's good or bad, right? Sword and Shields are the highest selling Pokemon games of all time, so
Really?
Wait, are
you
they?
don't.
Wait, they passed Red Blue?
Yeah, well, as far as sales, because of the DLC, well, I guess money wise, I guess I should say money wise, money
Oh,
wise,
okay. Yeah,
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 with
yeah.
money wise, I mean, you essentially charge half of the game, so you're getting from almost all the players that play. I would say 80 to 85% of your player base essentially paid 1.5 times of a normal game because they bought the game and then they paid the $30 for the DLC or whatever it was, $20, $30, whatever the hell, you know.
Yeah, that was me. Something
So
like that.
I mean, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna have. I mean, why would you not? I mean, you're printing money. I mean, I don't agree with it, obviously, but I mean, you are just printing money. So, but anyways, so last question then, right? It'll be more of a little bit long-winded question. Again, we'll line it up here. What is your favorite starter, like base form of them? Starter, middle evolution, and then final evolution. And they can all be different, and then they can all be from different regions. They can all. So, what is your favorite? What's your favorite little bond given to you by the professor, by the tree named professor?
My favorite base stage is Piplup. Favorite final evolution is Apollyon. Uh, because those are what I chose when
Oh,
I
you started,
played Dream
okay.
Diamond.
And so your middle one
And
is
middle one, I'll go with Duat. I think
Prickloop's Big
Duat's.
Sad.
Yeah, Piplup big sad, but he's interesting design wise. But Duat's so cool. He's so cool.
He's the one
There's
that
not
turns
much
into Samurott, right? He's the one that turns into the.
does, and like Samurot's cool too, but Duat, it's my guy.
All right, what about you, Gilbert?
So, Torchic, the little chick. Come on now, Torchic.
Okay.
Middle one is Greninja Second Evolution. The I think he's just so cool.
You don't even know his
Little-
name. You talking about Frogadier?
Frogadier?
I forget his name. I was like, is it Frogadier? I was like, is it Frogadier? Hey, I
Okay.
think in that thing, as a design for Final Evolution, it's probably Infinite. That was my starter. It would probably be Infinite.
Infinite. Yeah, for me, it's probably Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard, baby. No, not really. For me, the base one, I don't know, dude. I love me some Mudkip. He's so derpy. The meme itself he's just a little memey Pokemon. I just love Mudkip. Even the color of him, that the kind of sapphire color they went with is just so great. I'd say Mudkip. Middle, I really don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really. It's like the teenage years of them. They're just kind of smelly and ready to breed with Dittos all the time. I really don't know. Middle form. Trying to think of all of them real quick. I don't know. I guess as far as my favorite, I know it's not the coolest one, but honestly, I'd probably say Ivysaur. I really do like Ivysaur's design. I just, he looks so sprightly and I don't know. It's just probably memories of that. You know, that being my first game. So, you know, Ivysaur. Fun fact. Bulbasaur being my first ever Pokemon. But so Ivysaur, and then the final form. Man, I've noticed we none of us mentioned anything from these newer games. Yo, what I got against design against these newer games, man?
I didn't play the
Trash.
first.
They're
Oh,
trash.
well, that's not my thought, but okay. I'd say today's the VGC player in me is saying least favorite is Incineroar because Incineroar.
Bro, what are you talking about? Incineroar is
No,
the fake out Parsha. He's not broken at all. Come on now.
yeah, my favorite. I don't know, and I know I made a joke about it earlier. Probably just that Charizard, just for the simple reason, like being an original player, right? The hype that was always behind him. We know he's a fan favorite. Plus, and I have proof of this. I actually pulled, not a first edition though. I wish I'd be living over there in the freaking Trump Tower. You know what I mean? But no, I did pull the base set. I do have a Charizard that I was lucky enough to pull as a 9-year-old little greasy snot-nosed kid. I was able to actually pull that Charizard. I gotta tell you his ability. I'll tell you his attack. I'll tell you, dude, I was living life, bro. That was it. That was the high point of my life.
Nice.
That was the high point of my life. Yeah, you know what I mean. before my girlfriend walks in here and smacks me. What about when your son was born? That can crack the top there, you know what I mean?
Details.
Yeah, that can
Yeah.
crack. You know, that's it's up there with also, you know, when my shiny, you know, whatever came up. You know, no, not really. So yeah, so before we let you go, is there any one or two questions maybe you want to ask us? Do you have anything that you want to know about us?
I was very. I think the only question I had coming into this is again something that you guys mentioned in the the post draft video. Um, about the I was curious about the Latias from season 1, and
Mine.
what
My bad, yeah.
happened. A what happened season 1, and B what caused the unban for the season.
Okay, so I had Latios. I had drafted Latios, but then he got suspect tested. I was like, well,
Oh,
and we didn't know if he was going to get banned or not because it was our first season. So I ended up going with Latios. The ability to drop a Draco.
Let me, I like how he just let me tell you, okay, as you can tell, I'm the mouth of this operation. Let me tell you, it didn't just go like that, okay. Let me tell you how this went, okay. So Gen 1, and Gilbert was about to get to this part. Gen 1, or I'm sorry, season 1. Now remember, we're playing BDSP format. There are only 2 fairies in that format: Wigglytuff and Clefable. And obviously in a draft league, like, nobody even drafted Clefable or Wigglytuff, and only one person was getting Clef. Okay, so let's remember that there's only
Okay.
2 fairies. So how Gilbert was gonna get to, you can literally just choice specs Draco Meteor, nothing's gonna switch into it. And if your opponent does have a steel type, almost no steel types can survive 2 surfs. So you can just run surf on the Latios, let's say in that case, and you're gonna knock even the Clefable. Like, you can even just predict Clefable coming in, and you almost never even had to click Draco Meteor. You can just either click Psychic or Surf, and you're gonna 2-hit the Clef. Like, no Clef was gonna survive because Assault Vest isn't in that generation. So
Or Thunderbolt or Ice Beam. In the move
yeah,
pool
like
is
anything, it was
disgusting.
too disgusting. So
those fools are terrible.
and anybody that needs to know this about it, you know, and he'll admit it to you. So Gilbert's one of those dudes that it's like, if something seems see, this is where Gilbert and I differ very much. If something seems broken and busted, Gilbert will grab it right away. He'll immediately, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this. I'm a shit.
No,
Like,
that's respectable.
I'm gonna
That's
really get it
respectable.
right. Me, I'm way, like, I kind of prefer
Hard-headed.
I prefer the challenge, right? I'm way more like, nah, that's too easy, bro. Like, not checked it. Like, and then I get upset when it's still hard, but like, that's just the way I've always been, though. I've always, you can ask it. Like, I've just real stubborn is another word that I learned to describe it. But stubborn, you know what I mean? Like, nah, dude, watch, I'm gonna do it this way. Watch, like, I'm gonna have more, you know what I mean? This is Game of Honor. No, not really. As you know, as you like run, you know, toxic stall on him. But so Gilbert calls me, right? You know, we talk on the phone very often, almost every day, and he calls me. I'm at work, he's at work, and I mean, perfect time to talk. And so he's like, hey man, what do you think? Should we he's like, yeah, like, this Latios, it's just too strong. This is like midway of season 1 and this and that. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's tough. You know, him and I hadn't even played yet. And he's like, well, what if, do you think I should swap it out? He's like, I should just swap it out and we should ban it. You know, we should this and that. And I was like, yeah, so I'm not going to make you, you know what I mean? Because we brought it in. Like, I'm not, you know, he's the one who brought it up. He's the one who offered. I was like, yeah, dude, go ahead. Okay. All he did was freaking swap it, and then he picked up Latias. Like, okay, dude. Like, as soon as something, I was like,
Nice.
all right, man. Like, just keep the Latios then at that point. Like, I mean, yeah, you're risking some power, but still, like, it's still broken as well. You know what I mean? It's, I was like, okay. Like,
They just say all my opponents got Dracoed and they just got Draco.
Yeah.
It was
now,
not-
when he went to play me, we played in the final game of the regular season. Now that one, I won it pretty handily, but it was still more like we were still expecting to play. Like, both of us had already locked up playoff spots, so we also didn't like fully bring our full sets and do all that good stuff. I was a bit more prepared on how to play around it, but the people also that we were playing with, you know, it was just more of family and friends that we were playing with. It, like, nobody that's in this league is, especially with me not playing it this season at this point. Now, nobody from season 1 is still remaining. It sound like they've died. Nobody is still remaining, you know, and so that's the whole point of the Latias. So it was for the long there just wasn't enough fairies. And then season 4, so season 1, 2, and 3 we played BDSP format, and so season 4 we played Sun and Moon format, because obviously Gen 8 didn't, you know, because of the Dexit, didn't have all the Pokemon. And, you know, people are like, oh, we'll just do National Pokedex. Well, the issue is National Pokedex doesn't have a doubles format. So that's why even now we still have to now.
Wait, there's no Natex doubles?
No, if there was, actually, this league would be. I mean, we would have Pokemon like Infernape
Ah,
and
okay.
so
That's
on and so
interesting.
forth. Yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you know,
there's Man, I've always complained about there's Natex AG. There's actually Natex RU, but there's no Natex Ubers, which like it's so. So if you want to use Pokemon like Spectrier or Dragapult in Natex, you have to use them in AG.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's kind of the whole story. What happened with that, and then as far as what was the second part of your question? What ended up happening, or why did we unban it?
Yeah. Why'd you unban it for this season?
Because the thought was
More fairies.
there
and
was
more,
there were more fairies now in the format,
More
right?
check.
More fairies had been created after Gen 6. We were really close to bringing them back last season, but then the top boost would have really been too strong last season as far as Gen 7, because the terrain was still a 50% boost instead of 30% boost, and terrain couldn't be moved away with defog as it can now. So terrain was extremely strong. Like, we still could have brought him last season, but the top boost would have came in, and the top boost would have been broken last season. So
Okay.
with that being, with terrain itself and the Tapus sort of being nerfed coming into this season, as far as their terrain, but obviously their inherent fairy and all that good stuff still existed. So now that we had the fairies, that's where we're like, oh yeah, let's bring the only one in hindsight that I look back on, like, if I'm just being completely honest, the two things in hindsight that I wish you can go back and do is not have Dragavolt in the league, which is one that I kind of was telling Gilbert, like,
Dragapult's quite good.
even before,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's me and Gilbert. We've literally had this argument. See, me and Gilbert, we're boys. We best of friends. We one of those that we can literally argue and just disagree, and then like we're gonna go play around of golf together. Like, we just like nothing. Like, that's. But we had a huge thing. I was like, no, dude, this Dragapult, like, it is. I don't think it's not healthy for the league. And then the other one is, at this point now, that the Melmetal likely should have just been the S tier even again. So I feel, I know Gilbert and I kind of talked about it, but then we also did think, well, you would have all this other stuff, and it would always be slow. It doesn't have really this reliable type of, this and that. But then, seeing it right, and then being it drafted perfectly on the team how you drafted it, it's going to further kind of eccentric. It's going to further, and that's the issue, right? That's like what I told. So Gilbert and I, here's behind the scenes on this conversation. So Gilbert and I, when we're talking about Dragon Ball, Gilbert's also like, oh, well, they also let you, so one of the counters to the Dragon Ball was Tapu Koko. How come literally Tapu Koko went the entire draft and nobody drafted him? Chino drafted him on his last pick. And
I looked at Coco, but he just didn't really fit.
But then it's also like I told Gilbert, I said, well, even if somebody else had drafted Coco, like, there's only 4 other players that have any type of top boost to even try and stop this Dragon Ball. Like, it's still going to be difficult. And at that point, like, especially if it runs the Dragon Dance set, that's the set I would be scared of, because it really only takes a 1 at that point. Because he's not investing anything in speed. Why would you? So you can really make really make a bulky Dragon Ball with a high attack. And so I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, this whole thing will play out. This whole thing with Melmetal will play out. But the whole point is, like, the Latias. I guess the whole thing to get to your question is, the answer is that Latias. The issue that we're having with Dragapult now is what we were scared to have if we had brought the two Laddies back in. Because even Zacchaeus had asked us, when was it, Gilbert? Season 2, Season 3? Yeah, he had asked the same question in Season 2, and then Season 3 he had even asked about possibly bringing him back. And I think after he played enough Draft League, like, I think when somebody had asked in Season 4, I think even somebody had asked and he had answered for me. He, like, even put in the chat, he's like, yeah, no, there's no way we can, like, bring these guys. Like, you know what I mean? And so that's just more of what it was. It was just kind of that, Now, in this format, I'll admit, it's not, to me, the Laddie twins aren't, like, one of the top 3 S tiers, but you can still, I don't think they're a bottom tier S tier. I don't think they're
not even close. No.
Yeah, so they're still very good, even with the amount of fairies we have in the game. But I was just worried, like, the situation we have Dragapult right now, that would have been the situation had the 2 Laddies came in, especially without the top, is if we had brought them in earlier season. So that's why. And just so many people had asked for them to come back now, and now that the fairies are back now, I was like, yeah, definitely, we'll go ahead and bring them back. Like, we had a lot of players ask for them, which none of those players grabbed them, but yeah, we had. So that was one of the other things. So what's your other question? You got one more question for us? Do you have any other questions for us?
Do I? I think. No, I think that's it. Maybe if I come back later on in the season, I might have a couple more. But that's.
Yeah, well, just think about them. On the pace you're at, maybe you'll reach the finals. We usually try and do a interview with the 2 finalists. You know what I mean? Help us sell tickets. In the pay-per-view. Hashtag only Don fans. No, not really. But so if you ever do, but Either way, though, thank you for joining us, man. It was great to have some good insight with you. What was supposed to be a 20-minute conversation and now turned into an hour and 20 minutes. So sorry to take your time,
Yeah.
but that's how it
No,
goes
it's
on this
fine.
podcast, right? It's like that time traveling celebi. All right, we make our own events because Pokemon doesn't do it anymore. And no, man, but in all honesty, man, thanks for joining us. Best of luck this season. It seems like you have a really really great building partner with you as well, and hopefully we'll have them join us. They said maybe that would be really great to have them join us next season as well. That would seem like another powerhouse player. So shout out to them. Shout out to Faye. And yeah, man, like I said, just good luck and just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully we keep seeing some good sets, man.
Oh, yeah. I just hope I continue on the pace. That's about all I got. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and end this recording. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Everybody, please play your games. Get your games in. Everybody did a great job last week, and just hope good luck to everybody playing this weekend as well. Hope you guys enjoyed.